Guys, this is Revelations on Tim Hansen's channel. It's called Blinded by Nostalgia. Let's see what he has to say about this. It looks like a short one.
Revelations was the conclusion of Black Ops 3 Zombies, and the storyline as we knew it. Revelations was the grand finale. After bouncing around from Der Eisendrache to Zetsubo to Gorod Krovi, extracting the souls from the characters, we finally found ourselves in Revelations. And those
Which, by the way, all of those maps back to back to back was an adventure. And that's why Black Ops 3 Zombies is my favorite of the games, is because the gameplay and the story just blend so well together to make this one just massive, memorable experience. I love Black Ops 3 Zombies.
Filled in later in Black Ops 4's Ether story with Blood of the Dead and Classified. This was essentially the end bracket, the map that closed everything up. And while closing out this 8-year endeavor, Treyarch decided to push all of their chips to the middle. They brought back all of our favorite features from previous Zombies maps.
So with this being the wrap-up of our Black Ops 3 maps, and kind of, I mean, we do have the Black Ops 4 stuff. We're going to go into that a little bit, but I think like to consider this kind of like the end of like good zombies. So leave a comment down below of your unbiased opinion of Revelations. Pause the video here, leave a comment down below of your unbiased opinion of Revelations before he really gets into the details here.
Revolved around nostalgia and relied so much on returning features and maps that the only two original locations on the map were Spawn and Inside the Apothecary. Every other part of the map is a revamped version of a previous Zombies map, which isn't necessarily bad. People can hop on Rev, get a quick nostalgia boner, and have a great game. In fact, the first time we all played Rev, we all just walked around reminiscing, thinking about all the times we trained in the mob cafeteria, thinking about all the times we trained in the Kino stage, admiring the temples of Shangri-La, or hell, even wall running on Der Eisendrache. But after those first...
Put like that, it is true. Like, playing Revelations, going through the motions of it, it is a nostalgic trip. Like, if that's what you're looking for, like, Revelations is great for that, because it's like all of the greats just clustered into one big map.
First few games of reminiscing are up, you don't see much beyond the nostalgia. It becomes immediately clear that the entire map is one giant recycling bin, which wouldn't have been a problem had they innovated just a bit more. There simply isn't enough innovation on Revelations for it to feel like a fresh experience. Instead of pushing for one more special,
there's a little bit of a freshness in it, in the sense that, like, there's, you know, the newer area, like Spawn, I guess, but like there's other places in the map that we haven't seen yet, like, and they kind of changed up the way the places were, like Kino and then Der Eisendrache here. They kind of changed them up the way they looked, but he's right. Other than that, there wasn't much innovation put into Revelations, and I think that's kind of why it let a lot of people down. I was kind of let down by Revelations, in the sense that it's just not a fun map to play.
One different wonder weapon, introducing one new perk. They decided to recycle literally everything. Here's a list of innovations for Rev. These are the only entirely new concepts.
Okay, yeah,
There were 4 new Gobblegum, the 2 new weapons in the Banshee and the Rifty 9, and the Fury. Everything else was either a copy and paste or a slightly revamped version of something we've seen in the past.
And that sucks, you know, to close out such a great game that had back-to-back bangers of maps, to close out the game with such a letdown really sucks. Really sucks.
Shield, Ragnaroks, Lil Arnie's, Apothecon Servant, Thundergun, Tommy Gun, Peacekeeper, all returning weapons. The Flogger returned, and the turret is a little different, but again, it was a revamp. The time challenges with the melee weapons and the masks, both from Gorod Krovi. All the bosses, the Margwas, the Panzer, the Parasites, all returning. The Wonder Fizz machine, the challenges, pretty much everything. Maybe I forgot a few things, but you get my point. The vast majority of the features on this map we had seen before. Nothing surprised us. And again, that doesn't necessarily ruin the gameplay. You can still hop on Rev and have a great time, especially since it's one of the easiest maps and one of the most replayable maps. But for those who consider themselves above the casual level, we're upset with this map. Not only was Revelations a giant risk,
because I think personally I would have wanted another new map, or maybe just one, like, no, I wouldn't want another remaster because we had the giant. So yeah, I would want like one more great map.
recycling bin. It was the easiest map ever made. There are far too many elements that make it overpowered and mindless. At the forefront of this, you have Double Pack-a-Punch, which plagues Black Ops 3, not just Revelations, but again, with a Double Pack-a-Punch weapon, you essentially have an infinite damage wonder weapon. You have the most powerful
and that just goes with all the maps. You could double pack and
shield. You have one of the best specialists, and you have two of the most dominant wonder weapons ever made, whose only problems are related to ammo, but again, with Gobblegum, like Alchemical Antithesis, that's irrelevant.
True, on top of of the double pack punch, you have all of these wonder weapons to work with, which makes Revelations the easiest.
The God Masks, which enhance you quite a bit. Little Arnies are extremely helpful, and you have way more than enough space to train in this map. Pretty much every part of the map is viable for training. I can't think
They
of
took like every good training spot from the map that they remastered and put it into Revelations. Like, that's the part that they used from each map, was the good training spots
on the map that you can't train effectively in. Getting to round 100 on this map really depends on whether or not you have 6 hours to spare. And I'm not discrediting anybody that got to round 100 or more. I actually haven't gotten around 100 or more.
I'm not a high rounder myself. I don't have the mental endurance to sit there for hours on end doing that. Like, I literally do applaud like players who do that. I've attended streams of high rounding. Granted, even in streams, I don't have like the mental capacity to like keep up. So it's just kind of like I like have to like get in there and get back out and get in there and get back out. Like,
I don't care enough to. But there is nothing that changes.
Good for you if you're a high rounder.
That Rev is.
That's what I'm saying.
This map ever. Getting to round 100 is still round 100. I'm not here to criticize anybody. Well, let's just keep it real. So what have I done so far? I've determined that Revelations is one giant recycling bin and is far too easy. But instead of just complaining about it, I'm gonna offer some constructive criticism. I'll go over some potential changes I would have made to fix all of these problems by adding a few things and taking a few things away to make the game relatively harder and also feel more innovative. The most glaring flaw is the arsenal of disgustingly overpowered wonder weapons. So I propose we take one of them.
And that's going to be the number one flaw for, you know, like on everybody's list for Revelations, is the fact that there's so many wonder weapons to use.
I say we keep the Apothicon Servant, since that very much fits in with the map and the atmosphere and the story. And I say we get rid of the Thunder Gun. It sounds blasphemous, but truly, do we need a Thunder Gun on a map with an upgradable Apothicon Servant and guns with double pack-up?
No.
Also, I propose we get rid of the Ragnaroks and replace them with a new specialist. What that new specialist would be, I haven't a clue. Treyarch obviously would figure something out, either transferring it from multiplayer into zombies like they do with most of them, or coming up with something cool. It doesn't have to be a process to get it. You can still get it out of the box like the Ragnaroks, but I would change that. I would also add another perk. It could be an entirely new perk, or it could be a return.
I would have just loved to see another perk in Black Ops 3 Zombies in general. I mean, we had Widow's Wine, but like, that's it. That's all we had, was just the one single perk. And I still think to this day it would have been so cool to see yet another perk added to our list. I mean, even though we had bangers of maps to work with, I'm still left unsatisfied in that sense. We could have used another very, very cool perk.
Ones such as Vulture Raid, even Tombstone Who's Who. I don't care, honestly. Something new would be nice, though. Beyond that, I may make a few minor tweaks here and there, but I wouldn't change anything else major. And I'm sure a lot of you guys wouldn't make those changes, and you disagree with me entirely, which is cool. It's all hypothetical, of course. Treyarch isn't going to make these changes. The map is 3 years old almost. But that'd be killing two birds with one stone.
How old is it now, guys? When did this video come out? He just said it was 3 years old at that time. Okay, so shit, guys, it's old.
Making the map slightly more difficult
2016.
and also a little more innovative. And even with that slight innovation, people wouldn't care about all the returning features because it would still feel like a fresh experience. I'd be making an entirely different analysis on Revelations had that been the case. But even though the map is extremely easy, even by Black Ops 3 standards, I would say that Rev is a very replayable map. You can hop on this map several times a week and have a great time every time. It won't feel monotonous. It's not a map like Zetsubo or Shadows where you set up for 45 minutes on solo and typically struggle to do so. The map is super laid back, and the atmosphere is actually great. It doesn't fit everyone's style, but generally it's smooth. Clearly it's in outer space, and there are fragmented islands of the maps that we've seen in the past. The flow of the map could have been bad, but it was surprisingly good. Transitioning from one island to another isn't too bad. Plus, you can teleport, which speeds up.
That's true. The transportation on this map could be a lot worse. The jumping from island to island actually was very helpful. I appreciate
nice.
that.
It's a generally dark
detail.
map, but has its bright spots, and it's also very colorful. The environment and the design of Revelations aren't too bad, and it's not like
next to Shadows of Evil, Revelations is probably the most colorful map on the list of stuff that we got in Black Ops 3.
They selected a bunch of shitty maps to throw in Rev. They picked some pretty good ones, obviously fan favorites, and everyone's comfortable and familiar with them. So it feels like a relatively familiar map, with having a slight twist on it. Let's talk about the Easter egg. It was a disaster. Surely, after monumental Easter eggs of the like of Horizon Moon, Shangri-La, Buried, you would expect Revelations to be by far the best and the most expansive Easter egg. The most climatic, especially since it was regarded as the last map in Zombies. No, alright, it was just the opposite. Blundell said this Easter egg would take several years to solve, and my god, it was solved within a week. And not only that, it was the glitchiest Easter egg to launch ever. Once you managed to finally not lag out of your game and complete the Easter egg, you were totally dissatisfied.
It's not even that fun to do this Easter egg, like, at all.
So the Easter egg feels so unnecessary, and the Easter egg is so RNG. You depend so heavily on getting box weapons and other random things. It was the final map. We were expecting a giant boss battle or something huge to happen, but this is what we got, as Lex swiftly puts it.
Why offer a god mask in Revelations that takes up to 10 hits of damage when your boss fight is this fast and anticlimactic? No intense music, no challenge, and more importantly, no death. Where is the thousands of Apothicons that I was meaning to kill? Where's the massive Apothicon legends that I was meaning to slay? Where is the true climax of Zombie?
Where is it?
Matter is that
Where is it?
Like all of Black Ops 3, put the power of nostalgia over innovation.
Sure, the ending
Alright, down in the comments, can I get a true?
wasn't terrible. We killed the Shadow Man, Primus prevails, all that. I get it. It's a wholesome ending, but there is so much room for improvement.
Look at this though. Look at the color in these cutscenes though. It's such a different vibe from literally all of the rest of the Zombies maps ever. Look at how much color in these cutscenes.
Could have been
Holy.
so much more grand. The Drak boss fight is way more difficult than this one, and it really shouldn't be. They should have added emphasis to a major boss fight with easy steps to lead up to it. They shouldn't have made a bunch of random steps that rely heavily on RNG. It isn't a straightforward Easter egg, it isn't a quick Easter egg, and for me, it's not even a fun Easter egg. Nowadays,
It's not a fun Easter egg at all.
Our nostalgia is used against us. It feels like nostalgia is a tool to get us to buy into something. It's video games, it's movies, it's pretty much everything. And Revelations embodies this. Revelations is nothing but pure nostalgia. It had essentially nothing that made it feel like a new experience.
Yeah, that's
and like
true.
any remake or sequel or prequel or anything that uses our nostalgia.
If you're gonna play on nostalgia, make sure it's like really cool and add something fresh so that way it keeps us coming back.
Nostalgia against us. There is some quality.
use it
there. A lot of
against
movies
us.
nowadays are really just remakes of movies we had already seen. A perfect example of this, I guess, would be It. Of course, there's a few twists and turns here, but generally it follows the same plot. Revelations is that movie. It's that thing we've seen before. I enjoyed Revelations to a certain extent, but it never 100% clicked for me. If nothing I said makes sense, I'll put it this way. They essentially took all of my favorite meals and blended it together to make one mega meal. All of the components of those meals are still there, but as a whole, it isn't fantastic. That's
Yeah,
what
it's not fantastic. It's like there, you know, like yeah, it's not great, but it's okay.
Revelations is. It
It's
took all of our
okay.
favorite maps, blended them together.
It's just
and gave us a
average.
big
Revelations
map.
is
As
just
a
an
whole, though,
average
in my opinion,
experience.
it isn't great. Revelations is one giant recycling bin, but it's
Yeah.
not a trash can. Revelations objectively
Right.
isn't a bad map, but has much room for improvement and could have been so much better. Even by tweaking a few things here and there, like I mentioned earlier, could have changed everything. The
I think Revelations is probably like just out of the Black Ops 3 maps, my least favorite, I think.
magic of Revelations wore off just as quickly as nostalgia can wear off. For me, it was a couple weeks. Though the map was anticlimactic, I do respect the ending. And as a conclusion, it was hard.
Yeah.
Seeing the 4 beloved characters enter eternal bliss as Primus was something cool to see. And in the bigger picture, Revelations wrapped up Black Ops 3, which for many people were the good old days. Black Ops 3 was the end of Zombies, the end of that story. Revelations was a bittersweet ending.
But you were wanting something more. Definitely left wanting something more. The emotion, man. The emotion. Guys, Tim Hansen bringing in another banger. on Revelations. Guys, make sure to actually go check out his channel. Go check out the previous episodes too on my channel. I made a playlist of everything we've went over so far, including all the rest of the Tim Hansen episodes previous to Black Ops 3, the Smith Plays episodes we covered. I made a giant playlist of everything. If you're new here, consider subscribing. We would love to have you on board. We do like 99% zombies related stuff over here. Every once in a while, like my last video, we'll throw in something random and fun like that, but most of it's just zombies over here, guys. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, consider subscribing. We will see you in the next one, guys. I don't know what that's gonna be, but I'm sure that I have some good stuff lined up. But peace out, guys. See you in the next one.